Hey guys, I'm Tara Diana, and this is the Spirit Essence Show. This is the show where we talk body, mind, spirit. I always have guests that align with my philosophy of good come to me, good go through me. And as an empowerment medium, I'm always looking for the people that are going to be able to help all the viewers feel themselves in all the ways. So today I am super excited, and I know everyone, every time I say I'm so excited, I'm always excited. I am excited. Every guest that I choose to come on fills my heart with so much love, and I know that they are going to really resonate with you. So today I would like to introduce you all to my new friend. She's fairly new in my life, but she is a lovely, lovely, divine feminine individual, and her name is Necole Hines, and she is here today, and she is going to be telling us all sorts of goodness about herself. Necole, welcome to the show.
Tara, welcome so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You totally caught me off guard at the event we were at, the Coven event. And I say that and I laugh with it because everyone's like, oh, they were at a Coven event. It was like a psychic wellness fair. Let's be for reals. It was like a psychic wellness fair. And I wasn't meant to be there. I was literally invited very last minute, taking someone's spot. And I thought I would dive in with my good friend, Paranormal Betty. And I got in there and I met you and I was like, damn, that is my girl. Immediately.
The energy, right? It was pretty. And we were in different areas. It wasn't even like I was, set up beside you, right? So that's the beauty of it too, right? I just came out to have a gander and then we connected, and I'm just happy to see where our connection will go. I mean, I'm so glad to be on your show to start, but I'm looking forward to future.
You know what? I am too. And let me say this, I've been in the mediumship world, the metaphysical, the spiritual world for a very long time. And in some ways, sometimes I feel like I'm jaded. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, what's the vibe? Where are we going with this? And literally you walked into my space and I didn't care what you did. I didn't care if you read cards. I didn't care if you, did voodoo. It didn't matter to me what you did. I just knew that I wanted to become friends with you. And, life is so busy. We're both very busy individuals, very successful individuals in our spiritualism and our metaphysical work. And so I'm just excited to see what January brings, right? When we dive in. So Necole, as I said, I'm so excited to have made you I made you my friend. I said, that's it, Necole, you're going to be my friend. And you said, yes,
I'm with it.
You said, yes, I will do that. So,
yeah.
And again, excited to have you here. You have such an aura about you, though. I mean, no lie detected. You really do. And so I want you to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, the work you do both with the CBD, which I am so like naive and like a new baby when it comes to that stuff. And also about your spirituality. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and we'll get into all those other things as we go.
Absolutely. So one of the things that connected me to the CBD and THC, the cannabis side of things, was food, and an accident, and a car accident that I had years ago. So I had a car accident years ago, was looking for a way to deal with pain management. And the choice that I wanted to go was the herbal route. That was the kind of choice that I wanted to go. And Canada has a medical cannabis program. It's been around since like 2002, I believe, or 2000, something along those lines. So I got into that program and was able to access plant medicine and go that route. And I was living in Calgary at the time. But when I did start the route, and I've always been a consumer, I want to preface that, but this is a time that I was consuming to help with pain. Right. And when I decided to move to Vancouver, my main goal was to get into the industry. So when I came to the city, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. And so I kind of worked for companies, dispensaries, that type of thing. And I would bump into people in the city that knew me from Calgary when I used to have a food business.
Okay.
So back in Calgary, I used to have a food business. I'm from Toronto, born and raised. My parents are Jamaican. So I've always utilized Jamaican influence in my food. And I'm just
Okay.
going to sneeze. I thought I was going to sneeze and now it's not. Now I'm not going to sneeze.
Bless
It came
you.
and went. All right. So I have taken that influence in my cooking. And when I would bump into a lot of people, what I eventually decided to do was to combine my love of food and my love of the plant and put it together. And so by doing so, I started to cook with it. As much as I like to consume it in many different formats, one of my favorite ways is through food. And then I decided to take that love and turn it into a business. So I teach people how to make their own infused oils and honey and butter to actually cook savory dishes, because as much as I love eating cannabis, usually when we think of eating it, we think of brownies and cookies and sweet
Yes.
things, right? Like that's usually what we think of. And as much as that's fun, I'm actually not a baker. I
Ah,
am not a baker. I know that it has a lot to do with the way that I cook, and this is how the spirituality comes in, is that I consider myself an intuitive cook. And with that, what that means is that I don't always follow a recipe. And even when I
mhm.
do have recipes, I use it more as a guide. I change things all the time. I replace ingredients all the time. That's kind of how I flow with things. However, with baking, for those who bake, it's so super precise. Like you can't really like flow like that. You kind of have to really stick to the
Yeah.
recipe,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, you might not be eating something fabulous, right? So that's sort of why I kind of stayed with the savory side of things and really wanted to teach people how to use the plant and cook with it. But I took the approach of teaching people how to more cook with CBD or very low THC. And
Okay.
the reason why I am more on the low end of things is because I like to consume the plant in many different ways. So therefore, if I'm too heavy with the milligrams and in the dosing on eating, then I'm not going to really be able to function throughout the day, right? Like it's just going to be too much. So I try to kind of keep it light so that I can exist through the day and be really self-sufficient and
Right.
productive, right? So that's kind of where the plant side of things came. One thing that shifted with me is that I started to garden this past summer with a friend of mine. We have a garden plot at Strathcona Community Garden, and I decided to grow some other herbs. So, and also start to learn about the benefits of other herbs as well. And so basically I've taken more like, the company that I created takes a herbal lifestyle approach. So
Right.
I teach people how to just infuse oils, honey, butter, etc., with herbs. So it could be lavender herb, or it could be thyme, or it could be basil, right? Because there are benefits in many different herbs out there. So
So
that's kind of, yeah.
can you tell me, I've got a hilarious story to tell you about my experience with cookies. But before we do that,
Yes.
that is a story in itself. Can you tell me a little bit, what are the benefits of lavender? Now, I know what the benefits of lavender are in a lot of ways when it comes to the essential oils and whatnot, but basil and you said lavender,
Thyme.
thyme.
Thyme is another one. Yeah, a lot of them have different benefits. Like with thyme, for that one, I purposely use that herb a lot, not so much for the quote unquote like medicinal benefits of it,
Mhm.
but it's actually a herb that is utilized in a lot of Jamaican cooking. It is one of the herbs, like, with Italian cooking, you'll find that like
Oregano
basil or
and
oregano is like
yeah.
really the herb that's kind of used. And with Caribbean cooking, you'll find that thyme is a herb that's used. And I find that we're kind of accustomed or conditioned to use herbs in one specific way and not realizing that you can add it to so many other different things to enhance your meal. And then on top of enhancing the flavors of your meal, you're
Mhm.
also getting benefits from it.
That makes a lot of sense, isn't it? And food is most definitely the way to people's hearts.
Yeah.
I mean, gathering and feasting is huge in all cultures and in all organized religion and all paganism, everything. Food is where we gather. It's where we can enjoy each other's company. And, from a spiritual perspective, I always find that when you bring food, you bring everyone, right? And I love the fact that, if you don't mind explaining for us a little bit about the benefits of CBD and who benefits from it in using it in food? Is it because, I mean, for me, it almost killed me. I thought I was dying. I had no idea. And this is the best part of the story, is I had zero idea, because I don't consume any of that. I just don't, because I talk to spirits. There is a lot of me needing to feel in control of my mind, not so much my body, but my mind. And for a lot of people, if they aren't spiritual and they don't understand they're connecting to the other side, it has a lot of heavy energy to it. But, so here I was going through a period where I was doing, don't laugh, I was doing the keto diet. So I was eating very low carb and a little bit higher fat. And I had found this wonderful woman named Shauna who was making all these treats for us. And she became very friendly within myself and my sister partakes in CBD and all of that, but I don't. And so one day Shauna showed up and dropped off these things for me, and that was great. There were cookies, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, the story is so funny, I have to tell it. And anyway, she dropped them off, left them, and one day I was sitting on the couch and I started to feel so bizarre. Like so bizarre, like to the point, and I'm not kidding you, my girlfriend almost wets her pants every time we talk about this. She was laughing so hard. I literally thought I was dying.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought I had a brain aneurysm. I started to talk about having cancer of the brain. I laid on the couch and I was looking out the window going, what happens when it becomes dark and I can't stare out here anymore? And I couldn't sleep. Oh, it was terrible. And it turns out that she had put cannabis into the cookies and thought they were for me, thought I did that. She had me mixed up with my sister. So she didn't tell me.
Oh
She didn't
dear.
say anything.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I went through that whole night, right? Feeling like garbage because obviously I'm not used to it. The next morning I got up and had another half a cookie. Same thing happens. I'm like, oh my God, I was convinced I was going to call my best friend. I don't know why, my husband was downstairs, but I was going to call my best friend and get her to take me to the hospital. And about, I don't know, a week and a half later, Nicole, Shauna calls me and we're chatting. And she's, she says, did you like the cookies? I said, of course I like the cookies. I always love your cookies. She's like, no, I put a little something in them. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, oh my God. We laughed so hard. I was not laughing the day up. Let me
No, of course not.
But so obviously for someone like me, that was very, that was a little traumatic. Let's be honest. I really felt like I was dying.
Yeah, no. And you know what? That is a common thing that happens. That's one of the reasons why I introduce like cooking with a lower dose,
right?
Specifically for not just the people who consume all the time. And so you can get more of a layered effect, but it's also for newbies, right? It's like we actually all have something that's called the endocannabinoid system. That's literally, we're all born with it, right? So our bodies are wired to actually engage with cannabinoids. The difference is like somebody like me, like I've been consuming on and off for like 25 plus years. So, my first time 25 years ago was also like more intense, more because that was just my first introduction, right? So that's why even with it being legal in Canada, the reason why the limits are so low when it comes to edibles is specifically for new people so that they can introduce it into their system slowly, and then you kind of build up over time. One of the good things before we carry on is that with cannabis, as opposed to like other substances, especially alcohol, there are ways to reduce the unease or uncomfortable feeling, right? So with cannabis, like CBD, and you had mentioned CBD a lot, like CBD actually does counteract the effect of the THC. So if you've ever,
Oh,
yeah,
I
so
really don't know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Nicole.
So for the people who consume a lot of times we'll have like CBD oil around. And so like if somebody gave you something you didn't realize THC was in there, or you're starting to feel, weird, and you know that it had to do with cannabis,
Mhm.
you can take some CBD and it will help to like reduce the high, so to speak. So there's that. Other
Well,
things that help
sweet,
too, because
geez.
yeah, not everybody has CBD in their household. So another thing that has been helpful to people is black pepper. And that's because
Oh,
black pepper has a terpene called caryophyllene. And one thing that I can say about like terpenes, if people, know about terpenes are in everything. They're like in flowers, carrot, or fruits, all sorts of things, right? And a terpene will have its own benefit. So in black pepper, there's a terpene called caryophyllene. And what caryophyllene does is it helps to like be calming. It helps to calm you down. So if you ever get into a situation where you're not feeling comfortable after cannabis, you can either like chew on some black peppercorns, or just open up a jar or whatever of black pepper and sniff it. And
oh,
within for many people, they say that within like less than an hour or something like that, they're feeling much better.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. You
Also citrus is helpful too, like a lemon water, if you had lemon water,
okay.
or orange juice, things like
Probably
that.
like that better than the black pepper.
Yeah, yeah, that helps us too. And that's the limonene that's the terpene that's in like citrus, and that helps to reduce the uncomfortable feeling.
I swear to the goddess, I learned so much from having all my guests on here, and I feel like, I'm going to be able to go and talk. Did you know?
Yeah,
Right?
I
I
know.
personally, after that whole thing, I don't know if I'm ever doing anything like that again, but
Oh yeah, and you got a dose for like with the assumption that you consume, right? So you got
that's
probably,
right.
yeah, you probably even got higher than like what we would normally do. You know what I mean? So yeah, you were taken on a ride for sure.
Oh my goodness. Nicole, do you mind just chatting a little bit? Um, and just quickly, because I want to get into your spiritual work as well, but you've had success with this infusing and whatnot. And can you tell us some of the acolytes that you've had, some of the experiences?
Yeah, so I've done within the community, there are a lot of things that happen from conferences and like a lot of gatherings and things of that nature. So I have done, I've spoken on many panels. I have, been interviewed all over the place. I also have my own podcast as well. So I chat with cannabis folks who either currently consume and are entrepreneurs, or they were consumers. And the idea is to kind of show that consumers are diverse, and we have like amazing careers, or we're entrepreneurs and we're very, productive people. And it's kind of to change the face of thinking that people who consume are lazy and
Yes, I was just going to
etc.
say
Yeah,
that
yeah,
preconceived notion that comes
absolutely,
with that, right?
absolutely,
That whole idea of like, oh, well, if you're smoking weed, then
absolutely,
you're this type of person. You should
absolutely.
have me on to tell my newbie story.
I
So
know, absolutely. Well, I always do that. Honestly, you will be, this is usually what happens is that
I
I get
just
interviewed and then they come on my show. So
well, I do. I have a story for you. As I sat on my couch with 3 dogs laying on me, as I thought I was, dying. Anyway,
right. But it is important to show, because these are fun stories. I mean, obviously in hindsight, even I have a story like that. Like I was like in a starfish mode on my bed, like literally legs out, arms out for hours, and all that I was doing was my eyes were going from left to right and left, and I felt like I couldn't get out of bed, and I was there literally. And yeah, that's not fun. I couldn't even grab water. So, and back
right?
then I didn't even know that there were tips to kind of help like
Mhm.
reduce it. I had no idea back then, right? So yeah, really and truly it is to showcase like diverse voices, and especially in with a country being legal, sometimes we have just a certain demographic of people who only get the coverage. So
Mm.
the idea of my show is to showcase that we are the community is diverse. There are so many people doing different things in the space. And then the last thing that I'm kind of working on right now is a cookbook. So that is
Oh,
something that, yeah,
fun.
I'm working on. I want it to be more like a coffee table style, because I want it to be something that is beautiful, gorgeous, and sparking the conversation around the plant.
Oh, I love that so much. I do. I'm terrified of it, but I love it so much. Nicole, my world is all about spiritualism. I live it, I breathe it. I do have balance in it. I'm very grateful for that. And you do card work. You're a tarot reader, correct?
Yes, I am. Yes,
Can you
yes.
talk a little bit about your spirituality for us and your
Ab-
card readings?
Absolutely. So I would say that like the spirituality, I mean, I've went through awakenings like many times over throughout my life, right? And if
Mhm.
I think back from like high school days, just like always being drawn to like quartz crystals for jewelry, it like even started, it actually started from jewelry. It started from jewelry and just questioning Christianity. So those were like the two things that really sparked it. And then over time, I was just looking at life a little differently than, the traditional sense of how people kind of operated. But I would say that it really like got like activated when I started my last business. So about 2013, I was in an indoor farmers market. I was doing food at the time, and there was a spiritual booth that was there. And that's where I got my first set of angel cards. And it was from there. Now I was in Calgary. So in Calgary, back then, I can't speak to Calgary now, but I would just say Calgary, in 2013, around that time, the circle of my friends is that like I was the one who was the spiritual one, and kind of everybody was still like conventional type
Right.
thing, right? So basically people would come to me because I had the cards, and I would kind of like, they saw me have the cards and realize like I didn't combust and I didn't like, you know what I
Burst
mean,
into
go up in
flames,
flames. And
right?
I feel like they felt comfortable with me because they knew me, and they think that have a lot of common sense and I'm a pretty like level-headed person. So that is how I was able to connect other people with sort of my love of it, and teaching other people how to take charge of cards, and thinking of like the fact that there is something bigger than you, and that you have a family, a spirit family. Like,
Mm.
like I kind of introduced them to that. When I moved to Vancouver, I find that the shift from like Alberta to like Vancouver, BC, is there's just way more spiritual folks
For
in
sure.
the space, right? So you come into the city and you almost can just feel the energy, which is just a lot different because there's just more people who just think differently. So I already felt kind of comfortable that way. I find that people within the cannabis space are also spiritually inclined, because a lot of times that's our way to awaken certain things within us, kind of get more philosophical, etc., right? Because everybody uses the plant in different ways, but that's kind of, where that went with me. And then over time, as I really got in, well versed in angel cards, then I'm getting into oracle, and then into tarot. And so I'm in some other another spiritual group, and have been for about over a year, definitely over a year. And they are a group of amazing, medicine women and mediums and tarot readers. And when you are in a close-knit group of people who also have spiritual gifts, I
Mhm.
feel like my own gifts also got activated as
Absolutely.
well,
That
right?
is truth. That is
Yeah.
absolute truth. I
Mhm.
run many circles. Most of my circles, kind of gravitate to 2 to 3 years. People stay in them sometimes longer. I have wait lists for my groups. It's pretty cool. Uh,
Right.
and it's because we cultivate a community in the group. So now these individuals, it doesn't matter what level they were at when they came in, they have this safe haven.
Absolutely.
And it's such a beautiful, beautiful feel, right? And with the
Absolutely.
work I do, and the fact that I run events, and I run, you know, well, not as many as I used to, because it's a lot of work, sister.
Yeah.
But I do, and I'm part of a spiritual church, so
Right.
you know, I have this safe haven. You have this sense of home, right?
Right.
Work, because,
Right.
and we are more mainstream, are we not? I mean,
Oh, 100%. 100%.
there's a lot of times I'll say to people, you know, oh, mediumship's become a fad. Everyone says they're a medium. And the problem with that is that, you know, authentic mediumship is hard to do, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So, and it's hard to do because you have to trust that process. You have to believe 100% in what you're getting
Right.
to be able to give it. And I think that a lot of people, you know, they get caught up in the idea that, you know, as much evidence as you can provide. And I'm of the mindset that it's not the evidence that matters. It's the evidence so that you can that person can grasp who you're speaking with. But the message is so much more important. You know,
Absolutely.
I don't have to prove that, you know, grandma's here and she wears pink underwear and smoked a pack of smokes a day and she wore glasses. You know, I mean, you can give some good evidence and then you move into the message. That's not the norm though for a lot of people, especially in Europe, especially in England. They like, you know, the evidential is so much more important. And
Oh,
sometimes, and I'm going to get kicked for this, but sometimes I feel like, why are we showing off?
right, right.
If you can see that your client, your guest, you know, understands who you're talking to.
Right.
Do you feel this is grandmother? I feel it's grandmother, and have given, let's say, 3 pieces of good evidence. What's the need to continue to prove that it's the grandmother if they already
Yeah.
accept it?
And you kind of have to, I feel, and this is how I feel when I'm reading, like I've learned over time as to what my gifts are just over time. At first, I'm just like, you know, I knew that I was good at things, but I still didn't understand like fully how, even how I read is really different, right? Like, I mean, for me, it's like, I know that I'm a messenger. I'm just like the vessel.
That's right. That's what
Right?
we are.
And yeah, I'm the vessel. And, you know, when the cards come, it's like, that is for you. I'm not literally directing anything. It's just that is essentially for you. And the way I do certain things is that I have objects so that the person can hold on to an object which is mine so that we can have some kind of connection.
Oh, see,
While
I
they're-
like that.
yeah.
I
So,
did an event on Wednesday night, actually, last Wednesday, and a woman gave me some constructive criticism in her view, and she said, you know, the stage was too small for you. You looked like you were pacing. Now I pace when I do platform work, okay? I
right.
pace because I'm connecting. I pace because I need to move. It's an energy thing. This woman that gave me this constructive criticism is not a metaphysical practitioner by any means, but I said, oh, well, you know, I have to move. She says, well, you should have moved into the crowd. And I said, oh no.
Oh, that's too much
Oh,
energy.
no. I said, can you imagine, friend, all these people waiting for me? There's 104 people there. They're
Yeah,
all waiting for me to come and give them a message. Everyone wants a message,
right.
most everyone. Can you imagine me going into that space and just,
No.
I would have to have shields up. I'd have to
Yeah.
have, you know, a halo over me,
It's
my
true.
guides all chanting around, whatever you do to keep your head on. But, you know, honestly, with all due respect, we all are very unique in how we work. And that's what makes us and individuals drawn to us is our uniqueness.
Absolutely.
Right. So, you know, I'm grateful that you moved into that spiritual space, because when I read your energy, Nicole, you are spiritual. It
Yes.
is a must within you. Do you know what I mean? It just feels like it
I
is.
know that to be true because I am a manifester. So one thing I didn't mention is that I actually went through a of training with the group that I am with, and it was called the Vanguard Mystery School. And basically I learned, about all the clairs and about gene keys and human design and just a bunch of different things to
Mhm.
indicate like, what are my gifts? And because I don't know all the gifts if I don't even know what types of gifts there are all out there. And that's how I understood that, oh, I'm clairaudient. Because when I was hearing ringing, let's say
Yeah,
years ago, if you don't know what clairaudient is, you don't really know that that's a gift,
exactly.
right?
You
Like
don't know.
you don't know, you have no idea, right? Like, and that's when I knew that I'm claircognizant. My aunt is claircognizant. So as a child, my aunt was the person who would tell us that somebody passed away in Jamaica before it happened.
Yeah, she just knew.
She knew. Sometimes she gets it in a dream, etc. Right? For me, I'll get it in a question. And if a question comes out that has no relevance, like out of nowhere, if I have a question that I just want to ask you, Tara, that means that spirit has sent that question to you.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's just kind of how it was. But then when you don't know what it's called, you kind of like, I feel like people downplay a lot of their
Yeah.
gifts. We're all magical, right? We all have magic. We all have the
Mhm.
propensity to be magical. But I think a lot of times we downplay what our magic really is, and being able to see like, this condensed, X number of weeks to just kind of just get a feel of like what is out there. I realized like, oh, this is definitely my thing. Like I definitely know I know I get messages and things like that, but I also manifest to the point where like sometimes I can say something and it happens like it's happening now instantly. Like before it used to happen like over time or maybe
Right.
over, but now it can happen within the same day. Like it happened on Friday. And I was talking with somebody about something, somebody else came over, and the same conversation I was having with the person, they started bringing it up. And I was like, look at the odds. I was like, I was literally just talking about this 20 minutes ago while this woman is on the road. And that's, yeah, that type of stuff.
I love that. Intention work has always been, so my signature work is not only closure for people with their loved ones on the other side, it's manifestation and release. And what's happened over the course, now I've done this work for over 22 years. So
Okay.
what's happened in the course of the last little while is that I've really started to do intention work with people. So I'm like, okay, we need to look at this, this, and this, and let's set those intentions. And by my backing those intentions with them, providing them with that extra push to really believe that they can do this, it really heightens their ability to bring it to fruition. And who knew? I mean, like I said, I've been doing this work a long time, but to just go back to something you said, development circles are huge. Going and taking classes, learning about the clairs, learning as much as you can about the metaphysical world, no matter, everyone's a psychic, everyone's a medium, but no matter what you add to your flavor, it can only add to your flavor. So if you,
Absolutely.
yeah, like if you don't know, how do you know? And
How do
would
you
be
know? And
so
then once
much
you
easier.
absolutely, and then once you know, then you can practice. Because so what I've learned how to do is to play with the universe and practice with the universe and notice the signs, because I
Mhm.
think that's a lot of thing that people don't recognize. And when I start talking about like synchronicities, especially with just people who don't identify as spiritual, right? And I'll be like,
Yep.
oh yeah, I see like numbers all day, like to the point where it's like, okay, guys, come on. And
Pay
then when I
attention.
say, right. And then when I say to people who like are not part of the world that, yeah, I see 111s and 333s, they're like, I do too. And I
Mhm.
was like, well, you see this all the time. You don't even think that it might be something like to think, you know what I mean? To kind of like pay attention to.
Because everything has to be tangible, right?
Yes, exactly.
Materialistic and tangible.
Exactly.
Nicole, I want to, before we close off here, I want to ask you just two more questions.
For sure.
You have such a beautiful energy. What are your plans? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Wow. Well, what I have learned over this past summer, I do want to preface, I am a Gemini, so
Mm.
I flow with the wind, air sign through and through. So as of today,
That kills me because I'm a Scorpio through and through. I couldn't be more Scorpio if yeah, no. Anyway.
Yeah, and I am really happy to lean into me, because a lot of times I was very resistant, because Geminis get their names. But right now, what I'm trying to really honestly do right now is to number one, because of the summertime and I've just had some chaos happen, I've been leaning into the unknown. I have been leaning into like not really knowing 100% where I will be and being okay with that. I am definitely leaning into practicing my gifts on a daily basis, because the person I am in terms of the gifts that I have it's so much stronger because I'm doing daily practice than before, when I was kind of more random with it. I would like to incorporate spirituality more into my herbal practice and combining the two. In a few ways, I'm still kind of like trying to figure out how that is, but I believe that there is a reason that it started off with food, went into the herbs, and now spirituality is here. So I think that there's going to be something that kind of marries everything together, and then I will be blessed.
That's it, girl. Who needs, to have that idea that everything has to be set in stone.
No,
goals, aims, I think those are powerful. I think we should all have something that makes us have a purpose.
Absolutely.
For me, I need an animal. I need a senior dog sanctuary by the time I'm 55. So I got 4 years to get this ball rolling. But that fills my heart, right? That fills my heart. But I am not a believer in fate or destiny, because I know with every ounce of my being that we have free will choice, that was the gift of God, Goddess, Buddha, Krishna, whatever you believe in, creator, source. That was our gift, to be able to shift, adjust accordingly as we're learning, and we're always forever learning. So I love that. I love that you said, let's flow. Let's flow. I'm going to lean into that unknown, because a lot of us can't do that. Right. A lot of us can't do that. And even with, guiding myself through spirit, with spirit, for spirit, I don't always know where I'm going. I just trust process.
That part. Yeah. Trust the process and continue to do the work every day. So that's what I always like to preface. I think a lot of times people get very confused when it comes to spirituality, that like all I do is sit and meditate and just kind of like think about it. No, I'm literally doing the work, guys. So like I'm literally doing the work. And the more that you sharpen skills, so that means that I do have to get creative in the kitchen regularly, and you know what I mean, working with my cards regularly, so that if an opportunity comes my way, I'm ready. And so that's kind of the approach that I'm taking right now.
I love it. I love it with every ounce of my goddess self. I love it.
Hey, thank you. It wasn't easy. I'm going to put it out there.
No,
it was uncomfortable until it wasn't uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable until it was comfortable,
Dis-ease is probably your greatest gift.
Hey, that's right. That is right.
Nicole, I love you so much. I just really do. I'm so blessed to have you in my world. It is just such a just a goddess-like feeling, which I appreciate, that feminine energy. There's a lot of masculine always happening around, and I love the balance of it, but sometimes you need some people to walk in and be like, hey girl, I got you. And that's the energy you give. Is there one question you wish I'd asked you?
Oh, probably how do I like use the herb with my practice?
Yeah.
And it really is quite simple. Like I do, like for me, and it's because you kind of have to know who you are with anything that you consume regularly, and and it's not just this plant, it could be others. The reason why I even started learning about other plants is when you learn about like oat straw does this, and like when I mentioned thyme, like it actually has vitamin C in it, and so that the herbs, like a lot of them just have like all these different benefits. So with me, and the way that cannabis actually works with me is that if I consume a little bit before a read, it opens up. For me, it doesn't block anything, it actually opens things for.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah. So for me, it almost like it allows for the message to kind of come through. But that is based on the fact that I'm wired this way, and somebody
Right.
else who let's say were to do the same thing and consume with their practice, it might be different. So I always want to sort of preface that. But yeah, that is something that does support my work.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nicole, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can you tell us how that our viewers can find you? Of course, we're going to have it all written down in the comments on the YouTube video, but tell us.
Yes, absolutely. So if you want some information about the herbal side of things and cooking with it and some info there, you can always find me at fadedliving.com, and I'm at Faded Living on all social media platforms. So that's really easy that way.
Smart girl.
Right. And then if you are interested in readings, things of that nature, talking with me, especially about manifestation and all of the things, I'm Faded at Faded Moon 420 on Instagram.
Girl, you got to pop on to the Spirit Essence Collective and go in there.
I need to do it. I know. I need to.
And let the people see you.
Yes, yes, I will. I trust and believe I will. I had like 2 weeks of organizing a bunch of things, and this is the Monday that it's like my weeks are now like easier, so I can start doing this.
Isn't that funny? That's the way I felt too. I said that to my girlfriend.
Right?
We went up to Whistler after my big event on Wednesday. We went up to Whistler and we slept. We got tattoos and we slept.
Hey, I'm getting one on Sunday.
Oh yeah. Everyone knows I love me some tattoos.
Me too. I'm adding to the collection
before I turn 60. So so yeah, we did that. But Nicole, you're welcome in my space at any time. I'm grateful for you taking time from your busy schedule to sit with me and to sit with my viewers. To all my lovely people out there, stay divine, friends. Stay divine. Check us out on all the social media, Spirit Essence by Tara Diana, and we are literally good to go. Have a great day, friends.